Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar. We're going to give it just a few minutes here before we get started to give others a chance to get signed in. We appreciate your patience. For those of you just now joining, we're going to give it just another minute or two to allow some others to get logged in. We appreciate your patience. And for joining us today's webinar featuring documents. My name is Ashley and I am a member of the Triple Seat support team. Today we are going to talk about document templates and layouts. We're going to cover the difference between those two, and we're going to focus primarily on our documents and settings. Should you guys have any questions along the way, please chat them in using the question and answer section of BigMarker, and my teammates Alex and Sarah will answer them as we go. All right, I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera off so I can share my screen with you. Give me just a second. All right, my friends. So I mentioned that we would be talking about our documents and settings. So sorry. But first I wanted to cover our documents at the event level. So currently we're viewing this event, and I'm going to toggle over to our Docs tab. And just really quickly, I want to cover the difference between a document template and the document layouts. Our document template will be found here at the top, and this is going to be the edit mode of our documents. This is where we can add pick list items and notes on the fly on a per event basis. Below that, we will see our document layouts, which can either be customer-facing or internal documents, but these are the PDFs that pull information from our document template. So now I want to jump into our settings. So I'm just going to scroll down here in our left-hand menu and click on Settings. From here, we will scroll down to our Documents and Menu section and click on Documents. Here, we see our document template in bold font, and when we hover over our document template, we see the words Edit Template Content appear on the right-hand side. Just like on our Docs tab on an event, we see our layouts nested below, and when we hover over our layouts, we see the words Edit Layout on the right-hand side. We're going to start with our document template. So I will click the Edit Template Content button here. And this should look pretty similar to what we see on the event level. Really quickly, I want to just touch on this Template Properties button. When we click our Template Properties button, we are able to adjust the name of our template. And if you have multiple locations under your account, you would see those locations here to be able to select or deselect which locations should have access to this document template. We can close out of this window. And now I just kind of want to touch on our document menu on the left-hand side. Here, if we scroll down, we can see our layouts, which are clickable, and these links will bring us right to those layouts. We also see a section for fields, which we'll touch on in just a bit. Jumping back to the right-hand side, the first thing you see on my screen is contact info. You'll probably have a similar table here, similar information on your own documents. Then we see a multiple events table. This just helps us give a little snapshot of our event as to, the when and where of that event. So here we see special instructions and then a section for food. These two sections look a little different because the special instructions section is a text box field, whereas the food is a pick list field. So we're going to talk about the difference between those. Anywhere that you have a text box field, you will see this toolbar, which will allow you to customize the font within that section. Just like a Word document, you can use this toolbar to bold, underline, indent, add bullets, adjust your font size, as well as the font color or background color of your text. With your text box field, you're also able to insert hyperlinks as well as images. So our hyperlink functions are here, and then our image function is here. We're going to talk about this toolbar a little bit more in just a bit. I just want to scroll down and talk to you all about our pick list section. So I mentioned that our pick list section looks a little bit different here. This is where you are able to expand your pick lists or menus in CCC and add charges to events. Within your document template settings, you are able to restrict certain pick lists from view. For example, if I only want my food menus, not my staffing menus, for example, to appear in this section, I would make my selections under this restrict to these pick lists. Here you'll notice that alcohol and bar is not checked off under our food section, meaning that menu will not appear when we go to add food items to our events. One of the most common questions we get at the Triple Seat support team is, I added a new menu, how come I can't use it? And you'll just want to be sure to come into your document, click on your template, and make that menu selection here, always pressing the Save Template button to save any changes. Now what I want to do is create a new section in my template. I want to add a timeline to my documents. It's just something that I felt like we were missing. So let's talk about how to do that. To add in a new section, I'm going to scroll down on my left-hand document menu where we see fields. And here I'm just going to drag and drop a text box field into place on the right, wherever I'd like it to appear. Once that text box field is placed, we can overwrite the name here. And then if I wanted to just leave it blank and build out that timeline as is, I would stop right there and use the Save Template button. But I actually want my timeline to be in a table, so I'm going to create that table really quickly. To create a table, you can right-click your mouse, which also brings up the Merge Field menu. Really quick, merge fields allow you to plug in information automatically. For example, if I want the event name to appear, I would look under Event Fields and then select Name here. And that would pull in the event name wherever this merge field is placed. To draw our table, though, we're just going to look down this menu, and here we can draw in our table. So now that I've selected those dimensions, I can go ahead and fill in this table. Here I'm going to write time, and then I'm just going to jump over here and write description. I'm going to jump down to the next line here, and I'm just going to put in an X to serve as a placeholder for the time. But on the right, I want to always know the guest arrival time. I'm going to do that once more, use an X as a placeholder, and then write in the description on the right. I'm going to add in some more of these placeholders here. That just makes it easier to click into the table later on to make, further adjustments. And just taking a look at my table, I think I'd prefer it if my headers here stood out a little bit more. So I'm just going to highlight those and use my toolbar to bold them and maybe make the font just a little bit bigger. Taking a look here, we see these dotted lines, which lets us know that a border has not been added to our table. Anytime you click into any table in CCC, you will see this little toolbar, which will allow you to access your table properties, remove the entire table, insert rows, delete rows, and then insert columns or delete them as well. So using this toolbar, I'm going to click on Table Properties. And in the window that appears, I can go ahead and enter in a 1 for my border here. And on the Advanced tab, you're also able to adjust the border style. I think that looks a little bit better, but there's one other thing I want to do. I want to add in a background color for this top row here. So I'm again going to highlight that. And from here, I can right-click my mouse and then access my cell properties from that merge field menu. Here, I'm just going to toggle over to Advanced, where I can add in a background color using a hex code.
Hey, Ashley, can you hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
So we just got a report or two about how the cursor is looking slightly far away from where you're actually typing. Would you mind stopping the screen share and trying to open it again to see if that fixes it?
Absolutely, thank you.
Yeah, of course. Sorry to interrupt your flow there. I was loving the timeline.
All right, let's try this again, my friends. Let's just test this. Oops. That any better?
That looks better for me, but I know Christy or Jessica, I know you both mentioned this. Does that look better on your end? Guys, if you could type that into the QA. Thank you. Awesome. Thank you so much, Ashley. They confirmed it's looking good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for letting me know, guys. I appreciate that. All right, so we have our timeline added here. The next thing I want to show you is how you can add in a new pick list section. So I'm just going to scroll down on the right-hand side wherever I would like to add in my new pick list section, and I'm going to place it directly below beverage. So again, in my left-hand document menu, I am just going to drag over now a pick list item under the field section and place that, again, wherever I'd like it to exist. Here we will, again, change the name. This is going to be a staffing section. And rather than having to, look through a bunch of my pick lists, I'm just going to scroll through the restrict to these pick lists and select my staffing menu. And again, that way, whenever I use the add from pick list for the staffing section, only the staffing menu would appear. And that's just really to help clean up the clutter. Also, with your pick list section, you do have the option to add in an item to always exist anytime you add documents to an event. For example, I can use this add freehand button because all of my private events always have a complimentary valet. So I can just write in here in the description. If I wanted to, I could include a long description, maybe the valet company's name, anything along those lines. And then I can assign this to a category. That way, any applicable taxes, fees, and gratuity are applied to this item. The final step here would be to use the add button. And now, after I hit save, if I were to add documents to a new event, this complimentary valet pick list item would appear automatically for me. I'm going to continue scrolling through my document template here. You'll see some various note fields. And then we come to the billing widget. And here I just want to note that when you're looking at your document template, you will see the amounts for your billing details listed as 1%. And that just serves as a placeholder. And when you add your documents to an event, this placeholder will automatically plug in the correct percentage based on what your billing details are set up as in settings. So never be alarmed if you see this 1% here. That's just a placeholder. And then we come to our terms and conditions section. One of the #1 questions we get at the Triple Seat support team is, how do I edit my terms and conditions? Rather than navigating to the contract layout itself, you instead want to come into your document template where you will be able to make edits as needed to your terms. Some of you might use content templates for your terms and conditions instead. So this field would be blank. Maybe it would say see templates in the field name or in the body here. And the way you can access your content templates is to use this templates button from your toolbar. You can expand the folder and then select those terms. So content templates, just a definition, I should have led with that, is a bit of stored text or information that you can easily plug in anywhere you see your toolbar here. And that's really helpful if you have varying terms. You know, maybe your buyout terms are different than your catering terms. That's a great way to keep your documents clean and just insert those terms as needed on a per event basis. All right, so now that we've made our changes to our document template to add in that timeline and our staffing pick list section, I'm going to scroll all the way back up to the top and use my Save Template button. Although we did add those 2 sections to our document template, we have not yet added them to any of our layouts. So while we would see them in the editing mode, we would not see them on our customer-facing documents. So now I'm going to show you how to add those. Using my left-hand document menu, I am going to click on my banquet event order, which brings us to our layout. And really quickly, I just want to highlight some things we see here. Just like on our template, we see our layout properties button, which allows you to edit the name of the layout. You can adjust the font and size of the font here under this layout properties button as well. You can add a border to the layout or mark this box for internal only. Also, you are able to enable the advanced PDF converter here, which will allow you to adjust your margins, and you can enable headers and footers as well. I'm going to go ahead and close out of this window. Here you'll also if we scroll down in our document menu, you'll see your same layouts and links to your template here. But instead of fields like we saw on our template, we see layout items. And you might notice that these match those fields we saw in our template, including our new timeline and our new staffing section. Also in the left-hand document menu on your layouts, you'll see a section for design elements. And we're going to talk about those in just a bit. So now I am looking at my banquet event order and I want to add in that timeline. To do so, I'm going to scroll down on the right-hand side wherever I'd like it to appear, and I think I'm going to put it directly below this other table. To add it, we are going to scroll down in our left-hand menu, click on our timeline to drag and drop it. Now that it's placed, we can go ahead and click on this section to bring up the editing window, and I want to enable a header for this timeline. So now that I've checked that box, I can close out of this window. And a pro tip for you all is to add in a header and have it match the rest of your document headers. We can click into an existing header, for example, this event summary. And I'm just going to use my keyboard commands. So for me, that's Command A to select all. Control A will do the same. And then Command C to copy. And then I can click here where it says header, click into the body, and paste that. Now I'm just going to adjust the verbiage to instead read timeline. Give it just a few seconds and we'll see updating. And now I have that new header for my timeline. I also wanted to add in my staffing section on the BEO. So I'm again going to scroll down wherever I'd like to add that. And I think I'm going to put it in the left-hand column of my 2-column container here. So again, I'll just find that section and then drag and drop it over to the right. Now, when placing items into your 2-column container, you'll first want to place the item, and then we can hover over the title of this section, and you'll notice that my mouse becomes those arrows, and we can click there and then drag it up where we see the words drop here to add to this container. So our goal here is just to line that up as best as we can, and then we can rearrange it. I think I'm going to put it at the bottom below beverage. And now that it's placed, I'm going to click on this section again to bring up our editing window. We'll see a few more options here. I'm going to check on enable header, but we're going to talk about the rest of this menu in just a bit. So I've already copied that existing header from the event summary. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on my header section here and paste that once again to change the verbiage to staffing. Whoa, it'd be helpful if I could type. All right. Now we have that staffing section added to our BEO as well. Now that we have those two sections added, there's no other changes I wanted to make to my BEO, so I'm just going to, again, scroll up to the top and use my Save Layout button to save your changes. What I want to do now is show you this duplicate layout button. This is helpful to copy the exact layout. And for example, I need to create an internal BEO. And the easiest way for me to do that would be to copy my existing banquet event order and then make the adjustments as needed to add sections or remove sections. So here I'm going to click Duplicate Layout, which brings us to our copied version. We can see that in the name here. So again, I'm going to want to use my Layout Properties button to change our name. And because this is an internal BEO, I'm going to check the box under our layout properties for internal only. Because this is an internal document, I want to hide the pricing. And to do so, I will click on my various pick list sections. Food, for example, here. I'm going to click on this. And here in the editing window, we are able to deselect the box where it says show price. And we'll notice that that pricing was removed. Also here, you are able to adjust the text alignment and layout style. You can adjust the font size. And another common question we get at the Triple Seat support team is how can I include the long description of my pick list items? And to do that, we would look to this description field where we would change the description option from normal to either long or both if we wanted both the short and long description to show. So that's helpful if you're using that long description to detail out the order count, 6 pieces per order, or maybe the ingredients list. We would consider showing both the short and long description there. I'm just going to go through my various pick list sections to hide that price and include our long descriptions. Whoops, that's supposed to be both. All right. Now I want to scroll back up again to save this new internal BEO. And now let's go ahead and click on our contract. We are currently viewing our contract layout. And again, because I added those sections to our template, if I want them to appear on this layout, I will need to add them. So I'm going to scroll down on my document menu to find our timeline and drag and drop that into place on the right-hand side. Again, we will click on this section to open the editing window where we can enable our header. Click to edit content. And then adjust the verbiage as needed. Now I'm scrolling down to find where I'd like to put my staffing charges. Again, I'm going to put it right below beverage. We'll drag and drop it. And then we'll need to open our editing window. These other pick list sections on my contract have a border enabled, so I'm going to check off the border and enable the header. Again, we'll click to edit content to add in our header. All right. So now I'm going to scroll down past our billing widget. Here we can see our terms and conditions, and when we click on them, a red dotted line appears and we cannot edit the text. Again, that's just because the way we edit our terms and conditions is on the document template rather than our layout. But I do want to add in a staff signature here. And to do so, I will scroll down in my document menu where we see design elements. So here, I'm going to drag and drop a signature into place. And now that it's placed, I can go ahead and click on this section to again pull up that editing window. I'm going to adjust my header text to instead read client signature. And on the right-hand side, we can make some adjustments to this signature, such as making it only signable by staff members. And just taking a look here, I don't love how these are listed one above the other. So I'm going to add in a 2-column container to place these 2 signatures side by side. So under design elements, we will drag over our 2-column container and place it. And here again, we will just hover over the name of the field until we see arrows for a cursor, and then drag that up where we see drop here to add to this container, and we'll just line that up. Repeat those steps with our other signature field, and then I'm going to move our staff signature to the right-hand side. Something else I wanted to add to this contract layout is a gratuity selector, which will allow my guests to input their own gratuity. So I'm going to put that right above our signatures. And again, we'll see that under design elements where we can drag and drop it. I do want to note that you can only have one gratuity selector per document template set. So I'm choosing to add this to my contract layout, and that is the only one that we can have within our layouts here. But now that it's placed, I'm going to click on it to again bring up our editing window, and here you'll see that you are able to adjust the text. And then on the right-hand side, you are able to add selectable percentage amounts. For example, we see 16 and 18 here. I'm going to add another option. We can see that it defaults to 20, but you are able to overwrite these or use our arrows here to add or remove. We also see the option to allow custom amount entry, which means that our guests will see other and they can choose to enter in a percentage or dollar amount. By checking the apply automatically box here, when a client selects their gratuity, it will automatically be applied to the event rather than you having to apply it manually. Now that we have our gratuity selector added, I do want to make that required for my guests. So I'm going to click on their client signature section here. And on the right-hand side, we see require gratuity selection before signable. What that means is that our guest is going to have to fill out their gratuity option before they are able to sign this document. Some other design elements here include a page break. The page break will not be visible on the guest portal view or the online view of the document, but this will take effect in the PDF version instead. So we can see here that I've added a page break between the terms and conditions and signature field in my credit card authorization page. Some other design elements include the multiple events table, which I actually scrolled past at the top of this document. So on our way to save it, I'll show you that really quickly. This is our multiple events table, which again just gives you a snapshot of the event. You're able to customize this multiple events table by clicking on it to bring up the editing window, where you are able to hover your mouse over columns and scroll down as necessary. And you have some other customizations here as well that you can make to your multiple events table. I want to go ahead and save my changes to my contract. Again, we added that timeline, we added the staffing section, we added a gratuity selector, and we added a staff signature. So we're going to go ahead and save our layout. All right. So really quickly, I just wanted to recap. Today we talked about documents, your document templates and layouts, both at the event level as well as in settings. We talked about the difference between a pick list field and a text box field and how those differ. I showed you where you could update your terms and conditions, but I did forget to mention that updating your terms and conditions in your document template will only affect newly created events moving forward and will not retroactively adjust the terms and conditions on your existing events. Meanwhile, the changes we make to the document layouts themselves, as far as aesthetics are concerned, rearranging the sections, adding new sections, those will affect all layouts across the board for all of your events, past, present, and future. If you have any questions, we're going to be monitoring the question and answer section for a little while longer, but I hope that you found this webinar helpful. I so appreciate you all joining us today to talk about documents. I hope you have a great rest of your day and an even better weekend ahead. Thanks, everyone. Hey there, it sounds like there was a question about the logos. Here on my contract, we can see our logo here at the top of my page. If I click into this field, we can see that my logo is being pulled in using a merge field. To adjust that logo size, we can right-click our mouse, and then under location fields, we'll see our logo options where we can adjust the size from square, small, medium, large, or original. The merge field will pull in the logo from your location settings, so if you need to update your logo, you can do that in settings, then locations, and edit details. Thank you again, everyone. I think we're going to go ahead and close this webinar out. We so appreciate you joining us today. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and you'll get this recording soon. Thanks again, everyone.